to another episode of Dai Good Talk. Shout out to the official sponsor, Ladneck Cleaning. Tonight we have two nice topics. Queenie, she can handle us all.
Well, yeah, I would answer, Karen. Our two topics that we'll be discussing tonight is one, dealing with heartbreak and moving on after a relationship. And the second topic would be, what? Continuation of pretty privilege?
Yeah. Is the pretty privilege a real thing?
Yes, it is. I would say so. I would say that it is.
I mean, I know it's definitely a thing for women. I don't think men might have any experience in that field. But you could talk about a time where you feel like you experienced the pretty privilege.
I don't think I could talk from it in a perspective of myself experiencing the pretty privilege, but seeing the end effect of pretty privilege.
I mean, you work where you work, right? You don't think that, women get easier in some... I don't know. I just asking, like,
well, technically, my work environment is mostly populated by females. We probably have 2 male co-workers, okay. Right?
So the males just get through that then?
If you want to say so, but our environment is also very loving and family and friendly oriented, along with the vibes. So I can't really say that pretty privilege plays a part there. But when I say experience pretty privilege, I model, or I should say, used to model, because I don't do much of it anymore. And there were times where, as I found or noticed, that girls at the end of the day that couldn't model or pose or had the structure or the physique or what they were looking for in the photo shoot, I was overlooked at the end of the day. And I know that they have other models out there that can relate to that at the end of the day. And it felt like pretty privilege played a part. Like, I only picked you because of the fact of you might have had a little pretty face, your lighting complexion, or the who you know at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So I could say that I experienced pretty privilege in that way. Me personally, to say, not to say that I'm trying to put myself down, but I don't think that pretty privilege necessarily applies to me. Or if I have done it to anyone, they could tell me, but I don't really feel I give that vibe.
I mean, beauty is in the eyes of the beholder.
Correct.
So it all depends on the environs. Like, I mean, you might find, like, let me say you go for a job interview and let me say you just happen to be my type, It's about that extra, that preferential treatment that a lot of, I think, and you're talking about an environment with plenty ladies, but let me say it have 5 men in a line and 1 lady to the back of the line. And there's no competition, it's a no-brainer. Everybody can let the woman pass.
You feel so?
I mean? Yeah, and when you talk about pretty privilege, the first thing that comes to my mind is like damsel in distress. Like, if a woman have a problem, that is everybody's problem. Sure about that. If a woman have a problem, that is everybody's problem. Everybody want to assist, everybody want to help, everybody want to... Yeah, what? We gotta do a social exercise or a social experiment, right?
We have to, because
I can put up a status on Instagram right now and say, I feeling for something to eat. And you do the same. And we will see if somebody...
I feel you might quicker get through that.
Nah, I gonna die hungry. I might have to eat this microphone.
Nah, I feel you might quicker get through that me. But I also do think, right? You made a statement there just now where you said 5 men in a line and 1 woman behind, and the woman's problem becomes everybody's problem. I feel that is a give and take situation, because let me be honest, it are some men like yourself, it don't matter how nice a girl is or how banging body is, stink attitude is an automatic turn off and a no. So even if she might have a problem, let us just say that the other 5 men in that line share that same temperament at the end of the day. Her problem is her problem. So your pretty privilege also, in a sense, has to do with not only the fact of who you might know, or a pretty face or a banging body, personality also contributes to that.
Well, let me talk about from face value, right? I think that way you're saying it would come to play in terms of like, if you say our office setting where you're around three same person every day, and let me say you have an issue today, let me say as a manager, you call me, you tell me you come into work late. I might say, but if like Queenie, she come into work late every day, she always have a problem. She always something with she. So, you know, we might have a relationship now, a working relationship, might not be well now, but you know what I mean? So that might cause me to, you know, it might be different, but let me say face value. I can't tell you how much times I would have seen, and I don't have a problem with it, I all fit. I don't nobody feel I have issue with it. You know, let me say a young lady, you're like in bar, young lady go to the bar, wherever she order to drink, somebody just see she and like she, pay for it. Food, see she and like she, pay for it. You go for some kind of service some way, discount. You understand? The man asking for your number, he asking for your name. Don't beat up, nothing is a problem, girl. You know, you say, what is it? That ain't nothing, you ain't saying nothing. Understand? You go on KFC, you get 2 pieces of chicken, she get 5.
Wait,
And you're asking yourself, well,
in the KFC, it's not
I just, no, I'm not saying KFC, but let me say I eat an establishment. You understand? I want nobody roast man or to I eat an establishment now, you understand?
I
Not a
think
Spanish young lady.
me as a woman and all too, you in front of me, and I pay for 2 pieces of chicken, you pay for 2 pieces of chicken, and you get 5. I look at the back and all the establishment.
But what I'm saying, you could do that. You could do that as a next woman, you understand? You could do that, but as a man, if you see a woman get preferential treatment and you talk about that, but you dead. You dead. You
Yeah,
can't say nothing about that.
because let me tell you something. I think the way how things are stigmatized and put under a microscope when it comes to men, it's like the double standard factor at the end of the day. That is
It's a
what
huge
we-
double standard, a huge one. If you
Yeah.
call me and tell me you ain't feeling good, I, as a manager or a boss, I might feel inclined to say, oh, you ain't feeling good, Popo, take the rest of the day.
Eh?
It has some tablet in the cabinet. And
Eh?
as some if Kendall tell me he feeling sick, this Kendall, he always sick. He always have a problem. This man real lazy, but he just always has some kind of, so man, I can't feel sick. And I don't want it to come across as a gender war, but I think that woman, I mean, I would be lying if I sign if I encourage it. You know what I mean? I would be lying if I sign if I encourage it. Sometimes you do give women that preferential treatment. They make things a little easier for them, but really and truly.
But do you think because of that pretty privilege, it also makes things hard for a man that likes this female? You
It
feel
does.
that goes to her head at the end of the day?
It does. Because sometimes it like this, right? Use a model, right? Sometimes you might do certain shoots and things. The shoots come out good, and let me say whatever platform, even your page, you understand, all your followers commenting, well, you look real nice, thing, everybody telling you how nice you look. Understand? Sometimes that could cause a kind of effect on the brain now, but you understand, and you might feel like you're too nice. Now I'm not saying don't feel yourself, I'm not saying to have confidence, but it have a level, you know, some people have low self-esteem, some people they're way over the top. You understand? They're way over the top. I'm not saying don't feel yourself, don't feel as a nice person, don't feel a pretty, beautiful, whatever, but I feel like some people just have to move like if
You
you tell
can't
a
talk
girl,
to me as you should, as
like if you tell a
Beyonce.
girl good morning, you do it like good morning, and she watch you like it's a peasant kind of way. You know what I mean? Maybe because you might look at certain, maybe you don't fit the description of what she sees as a nice individual or something. I don't know, face value, thing again.
You know, and this might sound bad, I might get chastised for this too. You say that, and last night I had a conversation with my neighbor now, and she was showing me a particular a status of one of them little young girls that they call themselves, you know them as Instagram baddies and thing. And she watching the status, I said, who you talking about? And she showed me the person profile and thing. I said, well, I know the person. And she went on to say, well, know them. If you know them, they're struggling in real life. They're only playing thing for Instagram at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Right?
Some of the young ladies, all they batting away good opportunities, eh? By feeling the way how all they feeling, eh? Because if, alright, let me say your home, right? And your home set up in such a way where you get that preferential treatment. And where you work, it's set up in a way where you get that preferential treatment.
You would feel like the world is entitled.
So when
You're
somebody
owed
come
that.
and speak to you now from a mother's point of view, you might seem so underwhelmed. You understand? Because what you really thinking compared to reality then, you know, a man will come and talk to you, ask how you going, He might be a little straightforward. He might be too over the top. I mean, like I would always say, I wouldn't advise a man to start to talk to a young lady today and carry she Dubai tomorrow. I mean, if that's within your
Price.
your bracket,
budget,
you do
yeah.
it. But if you're gonna say like you wanna make this big sacrifice to do it, I wouldn't advise it because
Don't
I'll
borrow
say,
a
yeah,
man
you
house
get
and a
don't
man
borrow a
car.
man house, borrow a man car.
Alright.
You know what I mean? Do what you could now way. So
Kendall, take notes.
sometimes when you're doing what you could now, again, might get this underwhelming feeling because you getting that preferential treatment home, you're getting it on work, you're accustomed to men seeing you getting your way you want. You know what I mean?
But in a sense too, that mightn't always be the case, right? Because I could come back down to our old saying, as the old people just say, I wasn't born with a silver spoon in my mouth, right? Or a gold spoon in my mouth. And the sad reality is, if we look at Trinidad and Tobago demographic at the end of the day, right? Most times when men think update girl and who have it, you're looking to go down Westmore in that side, right? Those girls at the end of the day, not saying that you might not have the money to compete, you don't have the education to compete, you don't come from a good upbringing, but their mind is already programmed one way already to see life in that
But
particular...
that's how they grow up.
Right? That is just how they are programmed. So, in a sense, I can't chastise them for that way of thinking because that is already kind of instilled in them from small. So, yes, you might be coming from your mother's standpoint and you mean no disrespect by it, but they don't understand that mother's standpoint because that wasn't a part of the upbringing.
And I respect that. Have your standards, but you can't chastise somebody for not having what you have. I just never say, like, I always tell men and things, not every girl you talk to gonna like you.
True.
You understand? You need to understand that you're not, some girls, they just won't like you. No matter what you do, they won't like you. Accept that. You know what I mean? But it's another thing to talk down on a man because he have less than. You know what I mean? It's okay to show you that you're not interested in somebody. You know, I would never take out if I talk to a girl and the girl don't like me. You know, that is life. Not everybody gonna like you. It has certain men wouldn't like you, women wouldn't like you.
That is true, but it also have people
some
that just
people-
lead people on and
some people,
that
they
they're
don't
not
dog
open
go like
enough to
them.
say that this is not what I want or I'm not interested in you. They prefer to run around in circles or beat around the bush as the old people they say.
Yeah, well, me and Kendall, we spoke about that where, you know, you're going out with a man all the time. You know you don't like the man. You sit down in the front seat, you're eating everything, you're drinking, you're having a nice time, but you know you don't like the man. You know what I mean? That all of this contribute to part of the problem. You know, those string people along. And, you know, men, all they just do all the thing too. You know, if you really don't like the girl, just say you really don't like she for whatever purpose.
Correct.
You know what I mean? I think now is a time where people appreciate the realism. You know, let people deal with that if they want to deal with that.
Have you met this generation?
I mean, I experience certain things. And I experience certain things.
He experienced certain things.
Yeah. But I just think that, as I say, women, men too, set your standards, you know, stand on business. But at the same time,
Yeah, but standing on business does be a little hard sometimes.
what do you mean?
Because just like you bring up that example, and I mean, I'm not trying to make excuses for anybody or trying to justify people reasoning for doing stuff at the end of the day. For example, you might know a girl in your village or community where you go up, and you would hear tons of stories about she at the end of the day, right? Like we say she go tongue and she pick up somebody. Now that person might not know anything about her in any way, shape, or form. She sitting down in the front seat, as you just rightfully saying. She eating, she drinking, wherever the case is. Long term in her mind, she really know that is not her type or not somebody that she really wants.
She's just having a good time.
Good. But also, too, as you get older, and I feel this goes to both men and women, some men, if they're childish still, and women, if they're childish still, they mightn't view that standpoint, but you start looking for stability at the end of the day. And that stability ain't going to come out of necessarily you loving somebody. Because let us be honest, half of the time the people that we want and we like don't want we. And the people who like we don't want them.
You could learn to love somebody.
In this generation, boy.
Yeah, I think you could learn to love somebody. The person has to be consistent with what you want from a relationship, and I'm not talking about from a emotional standpoint. You know what I mean? Because if somebody doing the things that you need them to do for you. If you're getting the requirements out of the relationship, I think you and that person, you could start to like that person.
No.
And I think
I
girls
think-
especially, because girls doesn't see, but most men that girls end up with, they doesn't like you in the first place. They just find you real harassing you until they give him a chance, and then they just realize you like him.
I hope to God I never settle and end up in that situation. Pray that's never the case. But I also don't feel that it's true. I feel that it's like a 50-50 statement. I don't feel
Probably.
that necessarily that you might you might grow to love the person, but I also do feel like a lot of people in situations and relationships at the end of the day just for the benefiting factor of it.
Well, it have
I
to make
girl
sense
with
to
a
you,
man
you
at the
know.
end of the day because I know that he paying all the bills when the month come. I get him money for groceries and I still jamming somebody else on the outside. And men vice versa, same way too.
Well, it had to make sense to you, you know. It had to make sense to you if you feel like you need a man
This is not a long time when your parents making perfect match for you and you grow to love and take. Remember long ago, fathers looking for husbands for their daughter, you pay your dowry. And when
Yeah,
a
but
father look for a husband, he looking for somebody that he
saying
know
that.
could provide, that can treat his daughter the same way that he treating her. And for her to have this lavish lifestyle now.
Right, because them understand that you can learn to love somebody. Because my thing is like, you're not gonna see me and love me. You don't even know me. They might fall in love with the way I
That is
look.
infatuation.
Yeah, they might fall in love with the way I look. But I mean to say, like, to know what kind of person I is. You know what I mean? I think that is something that is only grow. That you get to know more over a period of time. So I think all that is like growing to love somebody. You know what I mean? You'll get to know if you really like me, if you don't really like me, based on certain experiences and things.
But you know, sometimes too, people see things in somebody that they know they don't like or something that not for them. And because you had that one little quality that they like, they would still go through.
Yeah, well, you have to do some introspection there. Right? That is, you need to work on self. If you realize you can't stand on certain boundaries, you can have, for instance, let me say, the sex real good, but you're disrespecting me. You know what I mean? If you could stay in a situation like that.
I feel we should call Mark in for that piece day because he like them that toxic relationship.
Yeah, that was saying you need to work on self.
But that works for some people. Some people like that.
No, you might think it would work.
No,
But
some
how
people like
long?
them things.
How long? Them things
Some
always
people
come.
like them things.
Them things always come tumbling down. But when you feel like it don't matter. It's like you say, right? Age is not really the factor here. It's in mind. It's the maturity
True.
of the person. So when you really wake up out there and you decide, boy, I don't really like this for myself, you know, and you're ready to be rid of it, you will be rid of it. You understand? And you will go for a situation that is more, you know, do give it a peace of mind then. You know
All
what I mean?
good things must come to an end, you know.
Yeah. You might realize, boy, that sex ain't so good, and it might be that good, but you might go somewhere with the sex and all that, but you gain the peace of mind, no toxicity, no quarreling. You know what I mean? And when you're really ready to settle, you'll find yourself putting yourself in them kind of spaces more often.
Yeah, but then that day now end up coming down to heartbreak for one out of the two parties.
That is part of life. Ain't you heartbroken already? Eh?
I have.
Me too. So it's part of
Multiple
life.
times.
It had to happen. It had
Not
to
too
happen.
many times than I would like.
Right, it had to happen. You know what I mean? It's something you had to experience.
Yeah, and then that in turn adds and creates a cycle at the end of the day too as well.
Well, it all come back to self again, you know, because if you find like, if you know somebody break your heart and you're ready to build up the Great Wall of China, you understand? You need to work on self. You need to
Alright, let me ask you
introspect.
something. If it have a hacksaw or a chopping board there, and your mother chopping meat, and you put your hand there once, and you lose a piece of your finger. You put it back there the next time, and you lose another piece of the finger. Eventually, after a while, your minding and tell you, stop putting your hand there or your finger there because you're going to lose a piece of it. So it's not necessarily
Well,
that people want to build up walls.
You have to look at it like this too, right? If you the person who chop off my finger, right? Because I try to have an experience with you, I ain't gonna be such in a rush to get my finger chopped off again, but I know for sure one person who can't chop my finger again is you.
You never know that.
Nah, not you.
Because people tend to try to change at the end of the day or pretend to change. And if you're somebody that's forgiving at the end of the day, You might watch the little movement and be like, they're good for a little 2 mornings, and you're open-hearted and accepting to...
Until you decide that enough is enough. Everybody
Good.
have a different threshold.
Correct. So,
Everybody have a different threshold. You might have lost your whole hand, and I might just have lost my fingernail.
correct.
Everybody different, but
They
whether
can
you
learn.
lost your whole hand or you lost your whole foot by going by the chopping block, eventually you will stop going. You will stop going. You understand? And you need to understand that you can't expect to, doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. We all know that's craziness, right? But you have to try to make it not so that Peter pay for Paul or Paul pay for all. You understand? You can't go to a new man, and that's what I'm saying.
No.
Sometimes they'll be blocking all their own blessings.
No,
you
no,
want
let
to
me-
marry you, you want to love you.
No,
kind
let
of
me
thing.
stop you right there.
When you studying Paul who break your heart.
In this generation and world that we live in today, I'm not saying that, yes, people might not be blocking their own blessings, but from personal experience at the end of the day, people pretend very well.
Yeah.
Right? And we all know this. When a man or a woman wants you, they're putting the most amount of effort to get you at the end of the day. And they might keep up that front or that effort for a little 3 months or 6 months, a year if you're lucky. Right? But let me call a spade at the end of the day. People have traumas and baggages that they bring from past relationships. And sometimes I tend to feel that it is no fault of theirs. Because if I know that going by that chopping board day, can get my finger chopped off, you might be cutting something, but it mightn't be on a chopping board. But because but because it resembled that at the end of the day, I automatically don't associate that with my finger getting chopped off.
Yeah, but that's trauma. You have to deal with that.
But it's not trauma too. It's also trust at the end of the day. Because if it looks like a duck and quack like a duck, you can't tell me that is a chicken.
But you're traumatized from that experience, understand, from a man breaking your heart. So now you're watching all man, because why? All man does look like ducks. So you're saying all that walking like a duck, talking like a duck.
That's not what I'm saying.
You're saying that, you'll be afraid to love again because why? Somebody do you something like that. But what people need to understand, right? This is a flatline thing. You can't, you see, what people just want to do, when you're feeling down, when somebody break your heart and you're feeling so down and so emotional, it is stress and thing. What everybody wants to do is to feel better immediately. It is impossible. You understand? What people need to recognize that it's always about time. You understand? You need time to heal. You need time to get over people. You need time to introspect.
Nothing that alcohol won't fix. I'm sorry, I am.
All I'm saying is you need that time. You understand?
But
Even
that's not what I'm saying. It comes
in
back
life,
down to, yes, there's trauma, but there's also maybe some trust issues in there as well. Because I tend, and again, speaking for myself, you give people the benefit of the doubt of what something is, right? But if I'm watching at it and this is what it's starting to look like, and okay then, let me say I'm watching at it. 2 examples. I'm watching at it and that is not what it is. But then I'm watching at it and it turned out to be exactly what it is. What is that? Is that also still trauma? Or is that just me seeing the bullshit and seeing through people's eyes at the end of the day?
No, well, trauma is an aspect of it, because trauma might have, I'm not saying that what you're seeing is not what you're seeing, but as like you say, it may not be what you're seeing. So we need to take into account that this is a totally new situation, a totally new person. Not saying that the person cannot hurt you, you understand, but you need to make your decisions based on according to what you see, but you need to be open-minded. You can't remember that if things start to go left, you remember when things was going left with Paul, it ended up in shit street. It could go back right, it could go up, down. You just need to watch closely and take into account everything that's going on, because it's like what I say, right? You need time to get over a heartbreak. You need time to restore your trust issues. How you will know if somebody loves you for real? Time. How you going to know if somebody really don't like you? Time. Everything that show up after a while, is whether you want to see it, if you want to see it, or if you don't want to see it. Because if I'm courting you, eventually, I might win you over. You understand? If I'm trying to use you, you might give me what I want. But after some period of time, you must make me out to be a fraud if that is the situation. And I'm not saying that you wouldn't be hurt by that, but you need to understand that these are things that just happen. Because why? You can't say if Kendall coming around here and Mark coming around here and it seems so good with Mark and it going down the drain, you should say, well, boy, I should have picked Kendall. Because in the reality, it could go either way with any one of them. You just need to keep going until you get where you want out of life.
So I should go and get Kendall a chance too and see what happens.
I'm not saying you're going back there, you understand? But you could do that too. You could do that too, you know what I mean? Everything is good until it's not good, you know what I mean? You could never know, you could never really know.
So we seeing red flags, but we want to see just how red it gets.
No, you see the red flags and you go your way, you understand? And you pick up somebody else, you see the red flags and all, you go your way too. So people might say, well, boy, the prettiest girls is the baddest girls. But when in reality, everybody like all the prettiest girls. So everybody can go around them. So they might have more experiences than a girl that people are more inside girl, a girl that don't be around. A girl might be pretty, but she might be inside. So no communication. She don't go out. You can't get she number. She not on social media, you understand? She might feel neglected. She might feel like nobody don't like she. So it all depends. It all depends. It all depends. But what I'm saying is when you see what you see, make a decision from there. Don't study what happened with Peter. Don't study what happened with Paul.
No.
Look at it for what it is and make a decision based off
All
of
right,
that.
let me stop you right there. I think men make decisions from a rational standpoint.
No,
And
men does make decisions from a logical standpoint. Correct yourself.
All right, I'm taking the correction, right? Women make irrational decisions.
Emotional decisions.
See when you start so, anyhow.
I just want the brain wire for men.
So all women make decisions off of emotions.
Not all, but it's a big influential factor.
All right. Now, yes, you're saying see a red flag for what it is at the end of the day. My perspective on how women see certain things at the end of the day comes from I would want to say a maternal standpoint. I feel most women had a motherly instinct in them at the end of the day that whenever they see something wrong, the automatic reaction is, I want to fix it at the end of the day. And most times, I think most women see somebody at the end of the day, they end up in a relationship, and in their mind, that is my person at the end of the day. I ready to lock in and call it, and it's that, right? Now, all you're going down the road, no relationship is perfect. Everybody might have their little flaws. Now, men have a kind of way, and can't blame them for that, right? Where they tend to keep things in and bottle up at the end of the day. They don't let you know what's going on, especially if it's stuff from a financial perspective, right? Things in so good way money is running. As a woman, you would think that if that is my man or my partner, this person should be able to confide in me and let me know, hey, this is what's going on. Not necessarily because you want me to help you out money-wise, but sometimes just somebody to talk to, because talking might be able to ease the burden. Women now, you're thinking, hey, he should be able to come to me. As a man now, you're telling her, I need that time and that little space by myself to figure out wherever it is going on. Now, really and truly, yeah, it might be that you really and truly just want that little time to figure out wherever going on. Now, as you say, yes, women make some decisions based off emotions. Her mind don't jump into all kind of conclusions. It's not me have to figure out. It's some other little bird you have on the side. When really and truly, yeah, it's probably really things that you have to figure out. But in our mind, we always think that if you could come to us at the end of the day and have this discussion with us, we could try to figure out ways to work out wherever the problem is, right? And I always believe or say that anybody that I'm with, I should be able to have some kind of friendship with before relationship at the end of the day. Because I feel like that friendship helps to break the communication barrier. I'm not saying that my man will come and lay all of his burdens or problems on me, but we should be able to have that healthy relationship or that safe space where you feel vulnerable. Now, yes, I'm not blaming men and saying that they want to be vulnerable, because in the past, you might have been with Stacey and be vulnerable, and when you want Stacey done, Stacey say, well, that's why you're broken and I used to pay your car note and them kind of thing. Now, we understand that. But I also feel that men could tell and pick along the line to know when it is that you have somebody in your corner that is there for you. Women at the end of the day don't always know to see red flags or what red flags are, because you are so vastly interested, invested, and in love in this person at the end of the day, and you think that you being there fix everything because you want to be that solid rock or that safe space for whoever you're with. So not all the time you see things as that is a red flag. It's only until after you're done, and as you say, time and healing, if you're going to therapy, you might be able to point out certain things or actions that were going on and be like, hey, you know, well, this person really and truly didn't love me or didn't care about me this kind of way, you know. You're then able to now see the flaws. But let me be honest, when men vastly interested in women and women vastly interested in men, you see no wrongs. You see no wrongs until when things get real bad. Until she lash out your car glass, or she air down all four your tire, or she throw sugar in your gas tank, this when you know we reach the end of the road. But it would have had signs that show you this girl might have been a little unstable, but you're in love.
I think about based on what you're saying, about three things also to respond to that. I think that number one, I think the inexperienced persons, they may not be able to recognize a red flag. I think persons like myself and yourself are a little older. I think that we see it, but we just tend to, we tend to give it a little blind.
We want to see how red it gets sometimes.
You develop a threshold, as I say, it's so much, it's like a relationship, it's like give and take. You
Correct.
understand that everything can go your way. So certain things you might not, to say light pass is not a true statement. You might talk about it. You might say, I don't like when this happens. Voice your opinion. Try to work on it like an adult. That is that. Another thing. Right. You see that women, when they really ready to lock in and all that, they really are ready to lock in. I think something that has influenced women to stay a lot is the honeymoon phase of a relationship. Though it may have been many moons ago, 2, 3 years, 5 years ago, in some cases 10 years ago. When you remember how that man make you feel at that time, it make you feel like, anything that happened in this relationship, we could get back to that time. You will feel like it's like a high that is like crack. You'll never get back that high.
Or not that is also I see the potential in you, or see what it could be at the end of the day, and you fighting to get that.
So sometimes for ladies to distinguish if we could get back there or not, it might be a difficult thing, And number 3, when it comes to men being vocal about certain things, men in society today, we only respected by what we accomplish or what we're capable of doing. We are not loved unconditionally in a general sense. So, unless it's your mother or something, and even if you ain't doing nothing,
you're loved off for the basis of what you can provide.
Your mother might tell you it's a failure and all too. It's a man who I know went through that, you know what I mean?
I do too.
Yeah, so I think that to vocalize the fact that you're struggling is very difficult. When you don't want to feel like you're placing a burden on your woman as well. If your woman tells you she have a problem, there's no problem. You know what I mean? But it doesn't feel vice versa. It doesn't feel that way. It doesn't feel like, especially when you're talking finance. You understand? Especially when we're talking finance. If it's something minuscule, there's no problem for you to tell me, get my foot hurting, I bust my car tire today. But when it comes to, you're really against the wall, when it comes to like certain things, you're failing to pay for your house, your car, you might lose this, you might lose that, business closing down, you might lose your job and thing. I think it's real hard to vocalize. We might be seen as a failure. You don't really want anybody to, as a man, you don't want nobody to see you on that light, like a failure and nobody. And another thing, the mental health of men for how much of our years has been rejected. It has never really seemed like a safe space for a man to talk about certain failures. And sometimes if a man talk about his problems, it may seem as though he's complaining that life may be too hard. You might be told to suck it up. You might even be told that you're sassy. So it's difficult.
That is true, and I agree with that. But I have a question to ask. Now, you say all these things relationship-wise. I have 2 questions. One, when does that attitude change in terms of me being able to be vocal with my woman? And I'm asking that from the standpoint of, if it is that you get married to said individual, does that mean that just how you previously were when you guys were in a relationship, does that continue to go on in a marriage? Because they say in a marriage is when 2 becomes 1. And if 2 becoming 1 means that you are still, in my book, I would look at it now as you're keeping a secret, because we together, we share in this household, and you can't come to me and say, well, I lose my job and I really working somewhere else, but I'm making enough money as I'm supposed to make to pay the mortgage. Is it now that you still don't say nothing because you still don't want to feel incomplete as a man, you don't want to feel vulnerable, or you don't want to be looked at as a failure in that aspect? And then 2, if it is that this woman that you was in this present relationship with, you could not have been vulnerable at the end of the day with, or even open up to her to that extent, would you see that person as somebody moving forward to become married to at the end of the day? Or what is the criteria for marriage then?
Well, Have a good. I could tell you how I would feel about the situation if I was placed in it. I guess because I'm not in it. I'm not married. Um, it's basically this, right? If if I'm encountering difficulties in that aspect of life, I may not. I don't think is a man's first reaction to tell you, well, I'm feeling right now, and as long as the shit ain't necessarily hit the fan, there may be an opportunity to catch yourself. So you may not feel inclined to say anything until maybe it's too late or something, right? Then I might, because let me say, I guess with eviction, I might have to come and tell you, no, well, girl, you gotta move out and me making enough money to sustain this kind of
no,
living.
that is a rah because how we getting
Well,
evicted? How long now this going on?
right, you know what I mean? But it's like I say, I think life is a stressful thing. I personally, and I think a lot of men in general, they do like to place stress on women. Me personally, I can't see myself trying to stress out my woman with any problems that I have in. Um, I think that when it comes to that financial aspect of things, like I say, like what could cause a man not to open up or to open up, you see, and that's why boundaries are important, right? A man might talk about, okay, I carry. You need to listen to. See, this is why it's important for men to listen. You need to listen to whoever it is you're dealing with from an early standpoint as well, because if you're hearing a man saying something like, let's say he's talking to his friends or whatever, and he's saying, well, but if you carrying that girl all over the place, right? When she gonna do something for you? You understand? If you are accustomed, and I'm not saying you carry the man, you do like this big grand thing. Any little thing could be appreciated, you know what I mean? Because I think that is set a undertone for neglect. You know what I mean? If it is, I'm accustomed doing a lot of things for you and I'm not accustomed getting anything from you, I might feel neglected by you. And I might feel like the love is conditional unless I'm providing. And as soon as I'm feeling like I can't provide, that is it. I feel like everything going on the drain. And I can feel to tell you, I can't do these things for you no more. I might feel like I get you to be with me on a conditional basis. You understand? So this is why, and men too, you need to tell your woman the requirement, what is needed from up front to make you feel as though, your love language, to make you feel as though you're being loved or whatever. Because if you have a girl homely and she's just a plant, that, and it might bother you. It has some men, they don't want the ladies to do everything. So you need to kind of figure out
What works for
who
you?
you're dealing with. Yeah, you need to figure out who you're dealing with. You know what I mean? Most men in general do really like ladies to do a lot of things for them. You understand? I might not tell you, well, you take out a car for me or some kind of, you know what I mean? Most men, I don't really feel like it's ever that level for them.
It's not that far, but you could buy me
But
a
you could
4
do
tires
something.
for my car.
Yeah, you could do something. Now, some men wouldn't even like that. Some men wouldn't even like
You
that.
see?
But as I say, some men, they would appreciate these small gestures. Me personally, I think everybody know by now how I am. I want to know my girl care about me. And I'm perfectly capable of providing for myself, for sure. But I want to know that you care about me, and I don't feel like you could just tell me that. I can't take your word for it. You can't just tell me that,
Actions
because
speak louder
if I
than
tell
words.
you, if I keep telling you, I love you, I love you, I love you, what I really going for? You ain't gonna believe me either. So why would you expect me to believe anything you say if I was just talking and you wouldn't believe me anyways? So that is a big part of it. I think you need to make sure you cater into your man in that way that he need to be catered to for him to know it's a safe space. So he could tell you certain things. Now, they will say secrets when a girl find out it's our marriage, we lying to each other, whatever, whatever, whatever. Big people know, nobody will ever really tell everybody anything. Everything, at least. There will always be something that you withhold from somebody that they probably should know, that you wouldn't tell them immediately, at least. You may go down in hell with it, or
You take it to
you,
heaven with you.
or you may say it after a period of time. Like after a period of time, like you say, I catch back myself and think, I might say, girl, I almost lost the house. You understand? But I catch it back, and whatever the case may be, you know what I mean? Some people might go down and hell with it. But I think in order for men to be vulnerable, it definitely is a mandate that he feels as though it's a safe space. I definitely think so. Because when you tell your brethren, your good friend, your real friend, that you encounter in these kind of challenges, they wouldn't ostracize you for it. You know what I mean? Because
True.
they understand that, you could fail. You know what I mean? So, because, it's a men's struggle, basically. You know what I mean? Because nobody really want to be a failure. Nobody don't really want to be a failure. You know what I mean? So, I think men...
Yeah, but then now too, when it becomes things like that, It has some women that communication is needed, and if you're not meeting a day at the end of the day,
I think it is needed. I think it is
right?
needed.
It is needed.
It's
And when
just
you're
not. It's just not an easy thing.
good, but then now that leads to things like the relationship becoming toxic at the end of the day. Me coming out, let me say, yes, you do catch back yourself, right? And then you come and you say, you know, I almost lose the house. Then somebody like me can be like, well, when we going to lose the house and why you never say nothing? I will then now start to have a kind of distrust.
Next thing you might feel like I could kill somebody and don't say nothing.
Exactly, you understand? And then that now breaks the trust at the end of the day. The relationship, in a sense, even some relationships might be able to catch back themselves. Some of them might end up going down the toxic road because then now I don't trust you. And trust is a part of the foundation at the end of the day. I start watching you different. That now also means when you tell me you're working late, I
could
start
be something else.
You understand? And then we lead down to that toxic road of, well, the marriage done or the relationship done.
What I like to do personally, I like to say that, you know, accountability. I like to say that at least whatever is happening to you in life, you're part responsible in some way.
Correct.
At least it might be 1%. If a man walk up to you and slap you just so the 1% might be that you should have never be there. You know what I mean? Wrong place, wrong time. You should have been somewhere else. I mean, you can't do nothing about that. That happen already. You know what I mean? So I think that in your relationship, it's good to implement that because you might find like I do something, like I might lie to you about something totally uncalled for, and you might think that, well, 100% I'm a liar, but sometimes you need to dig a little deeper and find out why. And it could be that I don't feel like it's safe to tell you that because why?
Fear.
It goes back to that as well now, boy, because you know where your own girl watching you sideways.
Yeah, but also too, I say this as a woman because I think I am at a mature standpoint now where I'm able to see things for what they are. In my younger days, I don't feel nobody I with could have come and tell me, you know, I horn you with so by so.
They could tell you now?
They
could tell you now?
They could tell me now. No, they could tell me now. Because I've learned to be open and accepting, and again, as we say, seeing things for exactly what they are at the end of the day and accepting things for what they are. Also accepting that a lot of times people's action at the end of the day has nothing to do with you solely as an individual, but it morally so has to do with them. And I think I have learned that going along the way. Right? But also too at the same time, I have been in that situation where as you feel like you can't tell me, right? Because you might feel that I might flare up. Because you might not know me at that set point in time, right? You don't know me now that I've matured and I've been working on myself. I as a woman would say, better you tell me than me finding out from outside sources. Right. Because I would tell people one of my biggest pet peeves is public embarrassment at the end of the day.
Right.
I don't like to feel embarrassed or belittled in any way, shape, or form.
But if I tell you, I want to, how that taken away from the public embarrassment? Like,
no, well, if you tell me it, it's fine because I heard it from the horse's mouth. But imagine me being in a public setting or a simple little brunch or dinner dates with my friends at the end of the day. Friends or foe, they look out for you in whatever regard. Some people might have malicious intent behind it with telling you. But imagine me some way out with my friends and somebody bringing a picture or a video. Or I in same restaurant or same spot and my man or husband walking in with somebody at the end of the day. How am I supposed to feel?
Well, I guess if you have an idea of what's going on, you could deal with it to suit.
Exactly. Now, if I didn't know that, you tell me, well, things ain't working out and I'll let somebody on the side. Again, now, choice is yours at the end. They say this a lot of times. Men take away that choice from women at the end of the day. You put
I think you know why, though.
Why?
I mean...
Not all women are built the same.
No, but I think you know why. It's like, you know, this or they say or they want the truth, but I feel like they just talk.
I feel that men also do that from a selfish standpoint and perspective. Because, as I said, it's a choice. Because if you give me that choice to tell me, hey, this is what's going on, it is now my decision whether or not I feel that I could stay and put up and deal with that, or whether or not I walking away. And let us be honest, it have men and women that's selfish out there. They don't want you to go, but they still want to be able to do what they want to do. Or as your people and them, they say, you want to have your cake and eat it too.
Well, I'm not gonna say that is not a man thing, eh?
What's the way you feel? That is a woman thing?
That's a people thing. Everybody want what they want. Everybody want to have the cake and eat it too. Everybody want that. And that is why...
But at the expense of people's feelings and emotions, and that is unfair.
Okay, so When you don't like the man and you're going out to the man every night and have the man carrying you all over the place, right? Is that not selfish? Is that not having a cake and eating it too? When you know the man professing his love to you on numerous occasions and you don't like the man, you probably have a man who you're jamming for nothing at all. And this man, he doing much more. The man high on a pedestal, he kissing your foot. And the man who you're jamming with, he don't even like you a little bit. You understand? He just jamming you because whatever. You probably have a girl and all too. You understand? Are you not being selfish? Are you not having a cake and eating it too?
In a sense, technically. But that is a different kind of cake and eating it too.
Yeah, well, remember now it's gender rules and it's two different, you know
No,
what I mean?
it's also two different situations and circumstances. In a relationship with you and you courting me, it's two totally different things too, you know.
No, but it's still being selfish.
It's
an example of selfishness.
It is.
Because you want to do whatever you want with whoever and you want to reap the benefits from this person and it's like, you know what I mean? So that might cause a man to feel hurt. Same way.
True, but how differently so do you think men handle breakups as opposed to women after the breakup?
I think men just told feelings and it just doesn't say nothing.
And women just do what?
Well, women is outrightly, you know, show their emotions about the situation. And my experience, I don't know. I think that if a girl just go and start doing all kind of thing one time, that might speak volumes about how she felt about you in the first place. But everybody different. You can't plaster that on everybody.
But question, why do people always think that if somebody start to go there and enjoy life soon after the breakup, that speaks volume or that paints that person in a particular way or like? If it is that you meet this person...
I think that's a woman label. People is more label that on women. Because men is always be out there having fun. You know
Fair point.
I don't think... And it will all come back to the whole safe space thing, right? Because a man might done with a girl and he might be like with his friends and he might even let his friends know he's feeling so hurt because that may be frowned upon in a friend group. For a man to say, boy, you know, can you really break my heart, boy, that how me feel. I can't sleep. I can't eat.
Or is it that you don't want to tell your friends and them, this is what I do, and your friends really look at you and say, well, you know, Queenie is not the problem is you.
Nah, we going past that. Is the breakup?
Yeah, but if your friends and them ask what contributed to the breakup.
If you want somebody to break up and you know it's your fault, should that mean it won't hurt you?
It wouldn't, but let me tell you something. People often at times, as you just say, accountability is a big part. Some people don't take accountability for the actions in the breakup. They're painting this picture as if they was the best thing that ever happened to this person and this person took them to the lowest, deepest part of hell.
Yeah, well, you know, it had 3 sides, 4 sides, 5 sides. It might even have 10 sides to some stories. It might have 20 sides. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, whatever happened. But if I feel hurt about it, as I say, I don't know about other men. I feel like I could speak volumes or however I feel. Nobody can.
So you feel like
can't let nobody alienate me for feeling hurt over something.
Or having feelings, being human at the end of the day.
Because everybody just go through that. You could laugh at me, but then just the other day you and so done and you wanted to cry and all too. So
wanted to drink some Gramazone.
You want to kill yourself.
Fair. But question again, do you feel that closure is a need or a necessary at the end of the day after a relationship?
For me, at one point, there was a situation where I felt like I needed closure and I never get it and I get over it. So it might take some time, but you'll get over it. I don't think, what that closure are going to do for you? They're not going to fix the situation. If you just, let me say, I'm in love with you and you're just done with me and
you wouldn't want to know why?
That was saying. All kind of thoughts sort of rush through my mind and say, hey, boy, she like an next man, she hold me. I don't know. And they will haunt you for a little while, but then you'll get over it, right? Because, and if you really think about it, right, when you get that closure, right, how good that going to do you really? You think the closure do you any good?
I think the closure does you good depending or based on the situation at the end of the day. If it's a situation in which we were all good and fine and then doodle blaps out to the blues, we just come and done, and you walk out of my life. I have a lot of unanswered questions. I want to know why.
And if when you call man ask you, I tell you because it's a damn ass and I hang up my phone. And you go feel worse and all too?
Well, at least I can get an answer.
Nah, I feel
I will get an answer.
Put your tail in between your leg and move on, yes?
You feel so?
Yeah.
But then
That
now,
closure ain't
it
doing
comes
nothing
back
for
now
you.
that it end up becoming a full circle moment because that then in turn now adds trauma.
After it happened to you once, it wouldn't bother you again. That's just how life is.
That is just how life is. Wow.
I post something
Hi.
and I get real plenty. I get so much of responses on my Instagram that I could not even
This is about what the same.
I can respond to everybody, right?
Do you feel you could be a stepmother to a child that's not
Yeah.
yours? All right.
That's not.
Let
Let
me
me get the correct wording, right? Can a woman as a stepmother genuinely love another woman's child as her own?
You want my honest answer?
Yeah.
I think that can happen, and it can happen also based on the circumstances surrounding the situation at the end of the day. I think a lot of things play into that. One, and my for sale starters is the relationship between the individual I am presently with and the child mother. Two, the age of the child at the end of the day plays a part. Three, the influence that the mother has on said child. Because in no way, me being with you and you having a 10-year-old close to a teenager, that not saying anything is wrong with a child and the mother having a real good relationship, but your mother influence on you. Your mother don't like me for whatever reason. Me and she might have been somebody that go to school, right? Automatically you telling your child when you go there, don't let she tell you about go on bed, or don't let she tell you have to do homework and thing, Automatically that is your mother. I, for one, can't talk to you there. So how am I now going to break that barrier to try to meet your child halfway there? I have the best of intentions, but how I going and deal with this child when the mother done instill she no part? So it had factors to it.
To touch on that, somebody responded to me and told me that, right? The majority of answers I got was yes, and some circumstantial answers as well. And those are one of the circumstantial answers, right? In the situation that the mother has an influence on the child. Or another one was I was told where the mother does not like the current girlfriend.
Correct.
You understand? Not using her influence on the child, but just the lack of communication where the handing over the child is concerned or
Correct.
whatever. You know what I mean? Because if you're living with the individual and the child, it could pose a problem. Now you have to remember, children are easily influenced, right?
Correct.
Because they don't know their own self as yet. So if I have a child with you and you move on to be with somebody else, and me and my child have a real good connection and thing, and I say, whoever Queenie Newman is, you understand? Say all kind of things, do all kind of disruptive things, be idiot basically. You know what I mean? You can't really hold that against the child because remember, he was influenced. The child, and he don't know
Correct.
better, He listening to his mother there or his father, and that might be all he know, to listen to his mother or his father, So somebody in tender age, well, somebody a child, right? Somebody in tender age, they may not know better. So to resent a child for that, kind of out of hand. I think that, you need to address the exact issue, which is the parent in question,
Correct.
right? So in an instance like that, now everybody threshold for dealing with things different. That might make you want to walk away, right? But if you know you and the individual who you're with, you need to ask him if he could address that.
Correct.
Because the mother's influence on the child is causing a
Correct.
hindrance in the relationship. But to say you're going to neglect the child,
No, I wouldn't neglect the child.
Yeah, child is of
I'm
love,
not saying
man.
that, but I am just saying the interaction and dealings with the child would also be based on that. Because let us say, for instance, yes, this is your child, and there are instances where many parents, and this situation goes both vice versa for male or female, whereas the opposing parent might not be able to discipline their child or had a conversation because the other parent done instill this. Or in this case, you spend majority of time with your father, your mother only see you on the weekends at the end of the day. This way it is live. So wherever my mother say, trumps whatever is going on. And you know, as the father, trying to be a good father and instill good morals and value into your child, find it hard to do so because then too, in turn, the child is also rude to you. What you do in a situation like that? Child is rude to you. They only listen to the mother, and you have a new woman. So you can't correct the child, and well, the new person in your life, well, to hell with she. She can't do nothing either.
If I end up with a girl and I realize you can't correct your own child, that is a red flag for me.
Fear.
You understand? So I not even gonna. I don't really care as to how it reached there, because for it to reach there, it would have some kind of neglect going on, right?
Correct.
Because you can't tell me, now your household is the most important thing ever. Don't tell me you're working 24/7. Don't tell me you're working offshore. You need to find time to tighten up your household, right? You need to find that time to tighten up your household. So if for the month you have to take 2 days off to be with your child and show your child certain things and help your child, it would assist in your child growing a connection with you and your child, because I don't see a child being indisciplined if you have that connection with them.
Fair. Now,
Especially at a tender age, and I'm talking about 8,
Okay.
9, 10, 11. I mean,
Correct.
almost 17, 18, and
correct.
10.
No. But even at that end age, let me look at a hypothetical situation. It have men out there, and I have friends who now knowing at this big day and age that they had child out there that is 9, 10, and you know this child now coming into your life. Let me say you would have had the child for about a year or a couple months prior, but me and you been together. You now know about this child. This child now coming in. What do you do in that situation? Let me say me and you married, and somebody from your past now come to say, well, 9 years ago, so was the case, and I really didn't know how to come out and tell you, or I didn't see wherever, and they come now to drop this child on you, who has now been raised with whichever parent, whether it be mother or father. You honestly feel in that short time period you are able to discipline that child?
Well, that is it, right? You are ready for a relationship yet because you have to work on your household. You understand? You can't tell me this is status of what's going on here and you're looking for a woman. Because you wouldn't want to be with a man who has his daughter and the situation out of control. That wouldn't speak volumes to you.
Correct.
It would.
But
That
if
wouldn't
you're
give off
already
that
married,
wouldn't give off
what you going to do?
No, well, from a wife perspective now, you need to understand that man gonna need time to get that situation under control.
Fair.
You understand? So if you had to, you know it could be stressful, but you have to be a facilitator, right? So whether it requires some patience from you, whether the man tell you, well, I realize when you're here, I can't get through to my son or daughter like that. If you could facilitate me by staying by your mother for a week, my mother for a week, wherever I take, you know what I mean? You had to try and facilitate the man.
But that also too goes hand in hand with something else, because if I'm married and I'm looking at it from a marriage perspective, we're looking at it from relationship perspective. Eventually, even if it is, yes, you are trying to build this bond with your child at the end of the day, and you're saying to me, well, you could spend a 2 day by your sister or whatever the case is, because I realize, like, my child is timid or mightn't want to speak with you being around wherever the case is. This is also a fresh and new relationship to both you, me, and this child at the end of the day. I then know in that situation, I have no problem spending a couple days by my sister, my mother, wherever the case is, but eventually a conversation still has to be discussed as to, so when it's going to be appropriate for me to also feel and be comfortable in my own home as well. I am not telling you to alienate your child because of me, but also too, this is my home as well. And I then now in turn also feel alienated. So what you're trying to say to me is, yes, you're building your relationship with your child, but when your relationship with your child becomes good, if your child still has an issue or a problem with me being around or being in the household, what becomes then at the end of the day?
While it was saying that I feeling it was going in that direction, and a number of things that passed through my mind as to what I could say about a situation like this, but I don't think we had the time. So in short, I'll just say you could always get another wife, you cannot get another child. You can't replace that child, right? So if the relationship had to go that way, yeah, for my child for sure, I don't really give a shit about you. You know what I mean? If I had to choose, I'd choose my child every single time. If I had to choose. God forbid I don't, but if I did, I would. I think every parent would. Nah, I lie. I know for a fact every parent wouldn't, because I know about certain situations, right? But I think
I find that situation very unjust.
It is unjust for you, it is. But you don't think that it will cause problems in your relationship if I pick you over my child? You don't feel
I am not saying, no. I think you miss.
Your morals and your values
I think you misconstrued my message somewhere along there.
Okay, listen. I really just tried to shortcut my answer, right? What I'm saying is, it is going to be even more and more strenuous over a period of time. If it is, I cannot get any harmony in the household. As in between you, me, and my daughter.
But you also too are also showing me your parenting skill at the end of the day. Because if you cannot teach your child to have some form of respect for your wife at the end of the day, also says a lot about you too, as a parent and your parenting skill.
It can't really say much about my parenting skill if the child is anywhere between 10 and 15 years old, like, because the child might already start to, be
Correct,
hard-headed.
but you are telling me
and you telling
that
me
you can't put on your
I
foot
know,
as a
but-
parent to
but-
say this is my wife and you need to have some respect for
But
my
I
wife in
know,
her.
but I know knowing this is my son or daughter, I know knowing that. He know knowing as his father and all too.
So you
Imagine
are-
a stranger come and tell you he's your father.
No, but
Come
let me
on.
ask something. So you are trying to tell me that yes, I'm not saying you don't have a relationship with your child, but it is okay for your child that is between 10 or 15 to disrespect your wife in that position, and me choosing my child is okay, or me not disciplining my child in that situation is a-okay. Look for a new wife.
Have you not heard of situations where children just indiscipline? They're just indiscipline. You see, this is all right. You see, and that's what I'm saying. You need to instill morals and values and certain type of things in your child from young.
Correct.
If your child come to you at a 10-year-old or older, and he or she was in a disruptive home from birth, you not even knowing you had a child, how you think you could get this child? Or you could do that? How you could undo that 10 years of damage in a month, 2 months, 3
I
months?
am not saying we
Impossible.
never put our time bracket to it. I
Right,
never
so
put
what
our
I'm
time
saying
bracket.
is, so, and I was say, in short, if it reached me having to pick, I know who I'm picking, but it's only so much you could take. If you take, you might say we in part-time bracket on it, right? Months is not a problem, but what if it reached the years? That might be a different kind
And
of
this
strain of
also means that
relationship.
this child is also growing in age. So a 15-year-old, 3 years after the line at 18 at the end of the day, you still trying to discipline to tell have some respect for my wife. So wife and you have your wife and you and your wife make kids at the end of the day. They're disruptive and disrespectful to your wife, but also disruptive, disrespectful to your kids. When they come, they're mashing up their toys, they're breaking up their things, they're fighting them. What goes on in that
You
situation
have to
now?
look at it from all angles, right? If it is that the child could spend time with the other parent as well, you know what I mean? Try and meet in the middle somewhere with the mother and yourself or some kind of thing. You have to try and do something, but yeah, at the end of the day, nothing is guaranteed to work.
Fair.
You know what I mean? If it is, you value your household and your new child and your new wife, and you're telling the mother, well, here what's going on. I think it would be fit if our child stay with you because it really not working out. You understand? But then now, if you realize the previous household is the result of, you understand? Let me say is substance abuse, alcohol, all kind of craziness going on over there. You can send that child back in that hellhole to spoil the child
We
life.
not, but also what I am saying is that you also need to instill in your child, just as how you want to instill good morals and value, you need to also instill respect. And I feel that was one of the points you were jumping over.
No,
I
well,
felt as though you was correcting everything else, but you were not willing to address the factor of your child also needs to learn respect.
yeah,
Because
but if
whether
they
you're
have-
10,
if they have
15
no
or 18,
morals, where's respect?
that needs to be instilled along with the
Right.
morals that you
No,
want
what
to
I was
put
saying,
in.
if they have no morals, they don't care about respect, they don't care about nothing. And understand they might only be willing to change after they make some kind of big mistake in life. Spend 10 years in jail or some kind of thing and then realize,
Let's hope
boy,
it doesn't get to that.
wait, boy, I really should put in. Sometimes people just have to make their own mistakes. You see it for yourself.
No,
I'm sure at
that's
some point in time, it might have been minuscule, but your mother will say, Queenie, don't do that, and you go shit yourself up and you still do it. You know what I mean? So sometimes
I want to see why you tell me don't do it.
some mistakes you just have to make, to learn from it in a way. But in closing, you can't teach them respect. You can't teach nobody nothing they want to learn, right? It has so much outside factors. The house could have be disruptive, the company, the other children in the area.
Fair.
You know what I mean? And they say people just go white up and in jail and learn how to be better criminals. I don't know, that's what people just say. You understand?
Well, you would know best.
I would not know best actually.
You would know.
Anyways, look out for more episodes coming soon. Full episodes will be uploaded to YouTube. I don't know when. Ask Mark. Stop asking me.
Good night, everyone.